Now to a key group both sides have tried to court, the Hispanic vote. Our latest poll shows the president leads among Hispanics 66% to 28%. And keep in mind, John McCain got 31% more than that 4 years ago. How big a role will Hispanic voters play in the key battlegrounds? We turn to our partners at Univision and our colleague Jorge Ramos tonight. Jorge.
David, the new rule in American politics is that no one can make it to the White House without the Hispanic vote. This Tuesday, about 12 million Latinos will go to the polls, but it'll be very important to watch what Hispanic voters will do in crucial states like Colorado, Nevada, and Florida. It is no surprise that those states are being bombarded by political ads in Espanol. Historically, Latinos tend to vote more for Democrats than Republicans, and that won't change. President Barack Obama will get the majority of the Hispanic vote, 3-1. But if Mitt Romney can get more than a third of the Latino vote, it will be a very, very close election. The most important issues for Latinos are jobs, education, and healthcare, but immigration defines who is with us and who is against us. Immigration is personal. President Barack Obama wants to legalize millions of undocumented immigrants. Mitt Romney says he doesn't want an amnesty, even though he talks about a permanent solution. Jobs might not be as important for Latinos as immigration. We'll see that on Tuesday.
Latinos are the fastest growing minority in the U.S., making up 10% of the electorate and 16% of the population. Over the past 4 elections, the Republican Party has lost support from the Latinos and have been accused of alienating them. The two main issues that have brought this decrease of support are the economy and, more importantly, immigration.
What do you plan on doing with immigrants without their green card that are currently living here as productive members of society?
Thank you. Gillian, did I get that right? Good. Thank you for your question. And let me step back and tell you what I'd like to do with our immigration policy broadly and include an answer to your question. First of all, this is a nation of immigrants. We welcome people coming to this country as immigrants. My dad was born in Mexico of American parents. Ann's dad was born in Wales and is a first-generation American. We welcome legal immigrants into this country. I want our legal system to work better. I want it to be streamlined. I want it to be clearer. I don't think you shouldn't have to hire a lawyer to figure out how to get into this country legally. I also think that we should give visas to people, green cards rather, to people who graduate with skills that we need. People around the world with accredited degrees in science and math get a green card stapled to their diploma. Come to the US of A. We should make sure that our legal system works. Number two, we're going to have to stop illegal immigration. There are 4 million people who are waiting in line to get here legally. Those who've come here illegally take their place. So I will not grant amnesty to those who've come here illegally. What I will do is I'll put in place an employment verification system and make sure that employers that hire people who have come here illegally are sanctioned for doing so. I won't put in place magnets for people coming here illegally. So, for instance, I would not give driver's licenses to those that have come here illegally, as the president would. The kids of those that came here illegally, those kids, I think, should have a pathway to become a permanent resident of the United States. And military service, for instance, is one way they would have that kind of pathway to become a permanent resident. Now, when the president ran for office, he said that he'd put in place in his first year a piece of legislation. He'd file a bill in his first year that would reform our immigration system, protect legal immigration, stop illegal immigration. He didn't do it. He had a Democrat House and Democrat Senate, supermajority in both houses. Why did he fail to even promote legislation that would have provided an answer for those that want to come here legally and for those that are here illegally today? That's a question I think the president will have a chance to answer right now.
Good.
Many have accused the Republicans of being unclear on the specific actions they would take on immigration. Latinos have especially targeted Governor Romney for wanting to veto the DREAM Act and enforce a policy of self-deportation.
We need to fix a broken immigration system, and I've done everything that I can on my own and sought cooperation from Congress to make sure that we fix this system. First thing we did was to streamline the legal immigration system, to reduce the backlog, make it easier, simpler, and cheaper for people who are waiting in line, obeying the law to make sure that they can come here and contribute to our country. And that's good for our economic growth. They'll start new businesses. They'll make things happen that create jobs here in the United States. Number two, We do have to deal with our border. So we put more Border Patrol on than any time in history, and the flow of undocumented workers across the border is actually lower than it's been in 40 years. What I've also said is, if we're going to go after folks who are here illegally, we should do it smartly and go after folks who are criminals, gangbangers, people who are hurting the community, not after students, not after folks who are here just because they're trying to figure out how to feed their families. And that's what we've done. And what I've also said is, for young people who come here, brought here oftentimes by their parents, have gone to school here, pledged allegiance to the flag, think of this as their country, understand themselves as Americans in every way except having papers, then we should make sure that we give them a pathway to citizenship. And that's what I've done administratively.
Welfare, $1.9 billion a year in food assistance, $1.6 billion a year on prisons and court systems, $2.5 billion a year on Medicaid. That's about $28 billion a year being spent on illegals alone. It is estimated that if given amnesty, the deficit caused by them would skyrocket.
I asked the president a question I think Hispanics and immigrants all over the nation have asked. He was asked this on Univision the other day. Why, when you said you'd file legislation in your first year, didn't you do it? And he didn't answer. He doesn't answer that question. He said the standard bearer wasn't for it. I'm glad you thought I was a standard bearer 4 years ago, but I wasn't. 4 years ago, you said in your first year you would file legislation. In his first year, I was licking my wounds from having been beaten by John McCain. All right, I was just let people make their own choice. What I was saying is, we're not going to round up 12 million people, undocumented, illegals, and take them out of the nation. Instead, let people make their own choice. And if they find that they can't get the benefits here that they want, and they can't find the job they want, then they'll make a decision to go a place where they have better opportunities. But I'm not in favor of rounding up people and taking them out of this country. I am in favor, as the president has said, and I agree with him, which is that if people have committed crimes, we've got to get them out of this country.
Romney aligns himself with proponents of hardline immigration policies. President Obama convinced many that Romney's economic plans benefit the rich at the expense of the middle and lower classes. This, along with the issue of immigration, swayed the Latino vote, and hence the nation's vote, toward Obama. But as time goes on, the Latino populace will increase and Americanize, which will deplete the Democratic majority and bring balance to both sides.